Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. So we have a public hearing scheduled before our regular council meeting. So at 6 o'clock, we are going to open our public hearing on our comprehensive plan. We have 3 people that have signed to speak. And basically, the comprehensive plan is being presented to City Council for approval. The way the rules state that we must have a public hearing before, and then we will do 2 readings on our comprehensive plan, and then we will deal with it once it's passed. So we'll start our public hearing this evening with Mr. Chad Emmerich.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Chad Emmerich, and I am a resident of Vienna, living at 303 39th Street. Tonight, I want to discuss a little bit about the comprehensive plan proposal. The purpose of most comprehensive plans are pretty direct and straightforward. They identify the challenges of any community, gather the needed data, and identify available resources, determine goals, formulate the plans of action, and finally, create measurements of success. After reviewing the plan that we have that you are considering this evening, I can see that it meets the general intent of a comprehensive plan, but does not offer any precise COAs to address the challenges that our city may have. When this was presented to the Planning Commission, it was met with strong opposition by the community, but support from several of those on the commission. It is obvious that it was intended to be a very broad stroke with general recommendations. So what needs to be addressed, in my opinion? The data needs to be updated. We can all agree that the data was out of date. There needs to be an input from a larger group of stakeholders other than the very small percentage of those that participated in the surveys done. There needs to be included defined projected land uses, specifically for 12th Street and Spencer's Landing and the former OVU property. The proposal or the resolution that Mr. Mancuso brought and had approved designated both 12th Street and Spencer's Landing as, and to be used for, parks specifically. Included would also need to be the new agreement that we have with the Wood County Economic Development Authority. After working in the government for nearly 25 years, I am used to getting documents, resolutions, or whatever it may be, that by the time that you get them, they're out of date. By the time they go through the various steps and processes, by the time they actually get handed to the people that use them, it's time for updates. And we do that through policy changes, we do that through amendments, and a host of various things. My suggestion is that if passed tonight, that you would agree that it should be staffed and reviewed within the next 90 days. I would also take during that 90-day window the opportunity to hold 2 town halls. One to hold community input, so you get a broader scope of input from the community, and the second to allow the community to hear how you plan to implement or incorporate their suggestions where you can. Thank you.
Kim Williams.
Good evening. So I come to you this evening as a resident of Vienna and a business owner, not necessarily as a member of council, but I've had an opportunity to review the comprehensive plan, and I just want to state this about it, that the comprehensive plan is a broad policy document that guides governing bodies to accomplish coordinated and compatible development in accordance with future needs and resources. The comprehensive plan provides the best possible projection of our future conditions based on current patterns. Basically, a comprehensive plan describes the community's vision and the steps to make that vision a reality. The first step in the comprehensive plan, it begins with public input. That's what we didn't have in our comprehensive plan. Unfortunately, because our comprehensive plan came around during the time of COVID, there were restrictions that prevented the community from meeting and having public meetings to discuss the comprehensive plan. And so as a result, there was students at WVU who did our comprehensive plan without the input of any stakeholders here in Vienna. If you look around us, there are other communities working on their comprehensive plan right now. Wheeling is working on their comprehensive plan, and they are conducting 4 community meetings or workshops with public input. The public will be involved in articulating a vision, developing a plan, deepening priorities, and launching into action. Marietta right now, if you guys have been following along, I think Mr. Mancuso had posted on his Facebook page a link to the plan that's going on in the comprehensive plan that's being conducted right now in Marietta. Once again, they are active engaging the public with not only in-person meetings, but virtual meetings. Both Wheeling and Parkersburg have really great websites that have all the information that's happening around the comprehensive plan so that people can go and read it, and also a way to interact with the government to provide input. We don't have that. Parkersburg completed their comprehensive plan in 2020, and they had public meetings as well. So that's what really bothers me about this comprehensive plan, is that it hasn't involved any Vienna residents, business owners, property owners, any kind of stakeholders. And how can you plan for the future if you don't include the public? The comprehensive plan uses current census data, okay? So one of the things, when you read the comprehensive plan, is that you're going to learn that Vienna has lost population. We have the lowest population since 1970. Vienna's population trends older. We have fewer children and more seniors. 65 and plus make up almost 25% of Vienna households, whereas children from the ages of 5 to 10 only make up 10.7%. Vienna's poverty rate has increased to 11.9%, which is higher now than it was in 2020 or in 2010. So how are we planning for the changes in our demographics? I feel like there has to be a willingness to include the public in this, because the decisions that we make now are going to impact our future for years to come, decades, maybe, even longer than that. One of the main things that's not really included in the comprehensive plan is any kind of ideas for development on John Mansfield property. As you guys know, the city of Vienna purchased that property 10 years ago with the anticipation of economic development. And, we've yet to be able to make that happen. But it's interesting to me, because I would like to see what the community's input is on what Manville should be, okay? One of the other things in the comprehensive plan that I can't say that I favor is there's a creation of an east-west connector to enhance access to I-77. This is a high priority in the plan. And I mention it tonight because there's been a lot of talk. It's been very controversial in Vienna for the last several years about if we connected to I-77, where would that be? And one of the proposals is connecting north around 46th Street, past the McDonough Wildlife Refuge. And so, as somebody who really enjoys the McDonough Wildlife Refuge, I would hate to see us encroach on that in any way. But it's identified as a high priority in this plan. And so, if we're stating what our plan goals are, and this is a goal, then is that really what the community wants? We don't know. There was a planning commission last month, and planning commission meeting last month with the comprehensive plan was on the agenda for them to discuss and whether or not they were going to move it forward to the council, okay? And I attended that meeting, and there was several people in this room attended that meeting, and I thought it was a really good meeting. We did have some folks who did speak up about their thoughts about the comprehensive plan and the lack of input and things that they would like to see. Interestingly enough, the Planning Commission did not unanimously move forward with a comprehensive plan. There were 3 people on the Planning Commission who voted not to move forward. And I think that I mention that only to underscore the fact that we need to get some more public input. And I don't believe that we have to just move forward with this without maybe taking a pause, seeing what that public input would be, doing, as Mr. Emmerich just mentioned, some public meetings. We can do some online surveys. We can get some better data to get an idea of what the public really wants. So just would like council to consider that. Thank you.
Tammy Rhodes.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about the comprehensive plan and some areas that I think need to be addressed. The first thing I want to say is there's a lot of conversations as this plan is being developed by WVU. I want to make this clear that this is not the Land Use and Sustainability Department of WVU that does the comprehensive plans for counties and cities throughout the state. This is through WVU Extension, and it's a completely separate, different section. This plan is not specific. In 2007, in the comprehensive plan, it actually talked about specific areas. And say, like in commercial development, economic development, it talked about, rehabilitating and addressing Old Town Vienna and hoping to get that back up to where it should be as a character destination. The West Virginia Code, I don't want to go over things that others have, but anyway, these are the mandatory components of a comprehensive plan. Which way am I going? And in this, it talks about a lot of very specific things. A timeline. And in this comprehensive plan, it says short and long-term goals.
Tammy, I'm sorry, would you please pull the microphone closer?
Oh, it talks about short and long-term goals, but it doesn't really give a definite timeline. And then it says recommend to the governing body a financial program for goals and objectives that need public financing. There's nothing in that comprehensive plan about that. And you can go on down through here. You can see how many specific things are mandatory in a comprehensive plan. This is not an I want, I wish. This is you will have. The purpose and goals in the West Virginia Code states that a governing body with public participation develops a comprehensive plan. When we look at this comprehensive plan, it also states, or the code states, that a planning commission shall prepare a comprehensive plan. There has been no involvement by the Planning Commission except for when this final draft was taken to them to be adopted or recommended to go to council. Most of the conversation and back and forth has been with Mayor Rapp's office. The drafts and so forth and his input have been sent back and forth to WVU Extension. But at no time did any of those updates or changes or anything else go to the Planning Commission for them to discuss whether or not it was appropriate. What Kim said, we haven't had any kind of public hearings. And we've had plenty of time since 2021 for that to happen. The survey is 72 people. I'm not going to get into it, but the sample size was not adequate enough to be able to definitely say this was something important. This comprehensive plan has a ton of errors in it, In the census numbers, the numbers are not consistent or clear between one section and another. There's a part that talks about poverty in Vienna, but then it changes to the county, and it's not clear what they're saying. In the education, 95.4% high school graduates in Vienna, 87.6% in the state. In another place, it says something different. But then it says, and contradicts that, Vienna is a bit less college educated, which is opposite what the numbers say. Income, it says Vienna is $7,000 median income above the state. But then the comprehensive plan goes on to say that Vienna residents are a little less educated than state. So it contradicts there too. And then it talks about the natural barrier and the steep hills to the west of our city that prevents development. Our hills are not west of the city. The river is west of the city. And then I wanted to go on and talk about the lack of, same thing, Spencer's Landing and 12th Street being addressed in this comprehensive plan. It does state that Spencer's Landing is one of the best opportunities for park expansion, but it says nothing about developing it, hiring an engineering firm, an architectural firm, coming up with a plan. How do we want to do it? What are the financial constraints of that? Where do we get the money? And then in that, it talks too, under natural resources, that the city needs to determine parks and recreation needs. But then it goes on to say that leading the effort would be Vienna Rec and Improvement Association. And says the recreational entity for the city that is separate from the Wood County Recreation Commission. In VRIA, as we know, is not Parks Department, it's for sports. So that is something else that's incorrect in this. And then it goes on to say again that VRIA should maintain and upgrade city parks and recreation plan. And then on that I-77 corridor, in that comprehensive plan, in that survey, there was one person, that answered that. It was a write-in question, a write-in comment on one question, and it ends up as an action step on the comprehensive plan. How does one person wanting that make it to an action plan and a 10-year plan? Thank you.
Mr. Metz, I know that you did not sign up to speak this evening, but as Public Works Director, I'd like to impose on you for just a moment, if I could. If you'd go to the podium, sir.
Yes.
In order to be fair, I would like the public to know some things that were said that are incorrect. And so you're our Public Works Director, but you also serve on the Planning Commission.
Correct.
The east-west connector that has been referred to in the comprehensive plan does not specifically indicate that that connector is there. All right, there's been discussion for years about connecting the city of Vienna at 46th Street through that. The plan that is on the state of West Virginia's trip plan is that the intersection at Jackson Middle School and the one at North Hills will be expanded into a 3-lane so that there will be a turning lane for that. That is the only active plan that there is. And this connector through McDonough Park is not part of that plan. That plan is a 20-year plan, and that will not be revisited again until 2045. And so the reason why I ask you to step up is because I would like for you to explain why that connector cannot be put through that area of the McDonough property and the McDonough wildlife area. Not only does Mrs. Riccobini not want that there, and she is the owner or a trust controlled by the McDonough family, owns all of that bottom land. And why do we care about the bottom land?
What that is actually, a lot of people look at McDonough Park or McDonough Wildlife as for wildlife, but if you go to the eastern boundaries of that property, you'll notice a dam structure, and what we call that is a dry dam structure. What happens is any water runoff to the east, mainly Rosemar Road, will collect in this dry dam structure and build up and release the water at a certain rate. And the reason it does that is it's a flood control structure. In the past and before 1982, City of Vienna had lots amount of flooding along Pond Run. When they built the dry dam structure, it held all that water back and let it at a certain rate of flow. So the capacity issues is there. It's designed to handle so much amount of water. If you build a structure or a road through that particular area, it's going to take the capacity out. So if you take capacity out, that causes additional water to run through the overspill and go in the Pond Run channel and cause flooding. That is what the dry dam structure is for. You cannot build something in that structure. We maintain it. It's real delicate, even to the point where we have to go out and remove trees because trees take up the capacity of the flood or the flood water. So there's no way you build a road through. Even if you put piers down through it, it takes the capacity out of that flood control structure.
The way the initial drawings were drawn, it would have started up through the bottom that Craig is referring to and then made a right-hand turn and went through McDonough Park. McDonough Park is a special place that was gifted to the city of Vienna, and I don't believe there is any way that we would give up McDonough Park or even a portion of McDonough Park for this project. And so the threat of that, I believe, is ill-founded. This is my third comprehensive plan that I have been part of. I've done two with the city of Vienna, and then I did one when I was chairman of the Wood County Planning Commission. Typically what happens is Wood County, Williamstown, Vienna, all go together and partner on this plan because it's so involved that in order to save the cost, when you do this, the historical information that's in all of these plans is all the same because Wood County's not that big. And so by using the Wood County resource that has been given to us twice, we've saved a considerable amount of money and gotten the same amount of information. And so, the city of Williamstown is operating off of the same format that we are, as is Wood County itself. And so I do believe it has a good basis to it. It was done by graduate students at WVU, but some of those grad students are from the city of Vienna. And so to say there was no connection is not a fair statement. They live here. They've grown up here, and they know our community very well. The last thing that I would like to make a comment on is the survey that was done. We sent a survey out. Excuse me, it's not the last thing. I have one more comment. We sent a survey out to every resident in the city of Vienna asking for them to tell us what they would like to see. And yes, the results were very disappointing, but I can tell you, you do not get much feedback when you do those kind of things. People just don't respond. They don't want to take the time. And so, the small amount that we got is what we got. We've done lead and copper surveys where we simply ask people to respond so that we didn't have to come look at your basement to tell what kind of water line that you have in your house. It would have been an incredible savings to the city if you would simply walk down in your basement, look at the color of your water line, and filled out a form that said yes or no. We can't even get people to respond to that.
No, we sent out 6,000 surveys asking to send it out back on paper format or electronic format. We got less than 10% return. So anyway, you do the best you can. If people don't want to respond, there's nothing we can do to make them do it. And my last comment was about the Planning Commission. And I can tell you that approximately 2 years ago,
the Planning Commission was given the existing plan that we had operated on for since 2007 and asked for any comments, any improvements, any suggestions. And so they were given the comprehensive plan and asked to respond to that. And so the information that was gathered is what we forwarded on to WVU, in addition to the planning survey that we just had done. It's as current as you could get. We partnered with the city of Parkersburg on that planning survey, and the Economic Development Authority is the one that contracted for that survey to be done. That housing survey was a phenomenal, eye-opening document of how desperate the need is for housing in our area. And so, we've done everything that we could think of. Would we like to have had more public input? Yes, we would have. But that's the beauty of this document. Once it's passed, we've made it a priority that the Planning Commission will review that document once a year. If there are additions or corrections that need to be done to it, then council can deal with that in the amendment form. The comprehensive plan is a living document. You can add to it or take things from it at any time. Obviously, it takes a recommendation from the Planning Commission because that's where it starts, but they are an advisory board. They do not have the power to enact those things. Once they make recommendation, it comes back to council, and council decides what action needs to be taken at that time. And so they did pass the comprehensive plan. Yes, I would like to, if it would have been unanimous, but the majority of the people on the Planning Commission voted to send it to council for approval. And so that's what the first reading will be tonight, is acting on the first reading of the comprehensive plan. And so that's the comments that I have. If there's no other comments, I'm going, yes, sir, Mr. Mancuso.
Mayor, if I can, I would like to put into the minutes, I was just sent a fairly lengthy letter from someone who was unfortunately unable to make it tonight, and she asked if I'd be able to read that so it's recorded into the minutes.
I don't believe you can. It's a public hearing and you have to be here to speak. Okay. You're welcome to put it in. We'll do something with it, but I'm sorry if you're not here, you can't do that.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. So if there are no other comments this evening, we will close the public hearing. We will take about a 5-minute break to reset. The next sign-up sheet will be on the podium over there if you care to address council at the public forum. All right?